Hello, everybody. I know I'm not all ready. Don't have everything perfect. Here you go. I'll get your attention real quick. So I got some street cred for you. Got a heck of a glare too, don't I? I don't know if I can fix that. Good old video quality here. Anyways, this is more of an informational video than anything. But I'll show you a quick couple projects. You know, maybe you're just starting out. This is a video I'm hoping to create for beginners, people that have either thinking about starting to airbrush, or maybe they've already got one for as a gift or something, or they're playing around as a hobby. But that's what this video is for. So if you would like to see how I set up my airbrush gun and my equipment, or if you just want to hear me talk, then this is the video for you. If not, then I've got a whole bunch of other videos for you to check out. If you just want to see some really cool artwork that I've done, there's a whole bunch of videos either on here or on my TikTok, my Facebook, my Crazything art page, my Etsy page. there's a lot for you to see. But today I'm going to be setting up my airbrush gun to get it ready to be airbrushing on this big bad boy you see over here. So that's what I'm going to do. And if that interests you, then welcome. Welcome to my channel. If not, I understand if you don't want to watch. But hopefully this video will help one person. That's my goal. If it helps more, that's fantastic. But if it helps one person become a better artist or helps one person understand this process a little better, then I'm game. So, good morning, Charlotte. How are you doing today? Love having people in the chat, even though I don't really expect it part of the time on YouTube. It's awesome to have people here. The interaction is amazing. Okay, so we're going to go over some equipment first. That's probably the easiest thing to do. If you look over here, that big yellow thing over there, that is my air compressor for my shop. Okay, that is a 60-gallon DeWalt air compressor. Now, you do not have to have something that big just to airbrush. You don't. You can have a little bitty pancake, small air compressor, anything that'll get you a consistent 30 to 35 psi. 35 is a little high, but if you can keep a 35 psi air compressor, then you'll do good. That's all you need. So I run a big air compressor that'll probably kick on during my video because it always does. That's the awesome video quality and sound quality you get with me, guys. I don't control that. You may hear a train and an airplane and a semi truck and everything else in my videos. But all right, so you've got air. Figure out a way to get air. You need a consistent 30, 35 psi. Get all your air hoses and everything you need to go from there to wherever you're airbrushing. Okay, I have air hoses. I have a regulator. I'll show you that real quick. Right here is my regulator. This will regulate your PSI. I have a dryer. This is an air dryer. This catches the water and the moisture. It's a moisture trap. I have one on my air compressor, and I have this one. And I do not get any water coming out of here, okay? That's a big plus. You don't want to be spraying water on your projects. You want to be spraying paint. I use Iwata Eclipse. They are the workhorse of airbrushing, okay? The airbrush world. They are amazing tools. If you will keep these bad boys clean, they will do anything you want. If you'll take good care of these, they'll take good care of you. Now, I showed you a couple of my projects anyway. But let me show you again. I know the video quality is horrible. I can't help it. But all of these details that you see These were all done with the same airbrush gun. I didn't change guns. I don't have any huge fancy equipment, nothing different. You could see the hairs and the feathers on the details on these, and I can go a lot smaller than even this. Okay? All done with that airbrush gun. So don't let somebody tell you you have to have $1 million airbrush gun in order to do the details. These guns, believe they're a .35 needle, is all you need. It's all about learning how to use them. Keep them clean, okay? So I have a quick disconnect on mine. It's not required, but with the amount of airbrushing I do, constantly changing guns, constantly changing colors, different things. Again, I will tell you a little disclaimer. This is how I do it. I have been running this business for just over 2.5 years. All I do is airbrush for a living, guys. So that should give me a little bit of credibility, but I'm only going to tell you how I do it. That doesn't mean it's the concrete way to do things. Okay? This is just a helpful video for you. Give you a guide, I guess. So the Iwata Eclipse is a double action airbrush gun. And what that means is I control everything with this trigger. When I push it up and down, you can hear the air control. Okay? When you push it down and pull back at the same time, you will have your material flow. Your material goes in this top cup. I currently have water in it. I will put a little bit more water in there. That bottle is empty. I mark my bottles. It says water. It says water again on that side so that I don't grab something. You know, I get busy. I would not want to ever grab the wrong thing. That could be bad when I'm working on a customer's project. Think ahead, get everything ready. So, I'll show you how it works. Push down and pull back. I'll try to use the contrast of my black shirt as an example. See that? So, watch really close. I'm going to start with a fine line. I don't know how well you can see it, but the material is coming out right now. Water is coming out right now. Just a little bit. Then I'm going to get stronger and stronger. More and more. Then I'm going to fade back. Watch my finger go back and forth. That is how the airbrush gun works. And many of you probably already know that if you have one. But it's that finesse that you need to learn, practice, okay? Well, there's a lot of videos out there that'll tell you to practice dagger strokes, which is a long stroke that lets you learn how to cut it off at the end where it's nice and sharp, like you'll see on these feathers. Starts off thick, and it'll cut off sharp. Those are dagger strokes. It's come in very handy, especially if you're going to airbrush any animals with feathers or fur or anything like that. Dagger strokes are amazing practice. Dots are also amazing practice. Little dots, big dots. Little dots, big dots. Okay? But that comes with a little bit later after you've got your gun set up. Okay, so I am going to spray the water out of here. Just water. That is full trigger, push down all the way back till it runs out. Now it's out. Get all the little drops out of it. No more water in my airbrush gun. Ta-da! So now we can set it up, okay? It's empty, it's clean, very clean. Okay, I clean these out daily. I do not let your paint set up overnight. Don't get frustrated at what you're doing and set this to the side and let it sit for a couple days or a week or a month or something like that. You will regret it. Again, I'm going to show you how I do it, okay? Paint will settle. Okay, so this is my gun, my airbrush gun that I use with white paint, and I only put white in this one. That doesn't mean you have to do it that way because But I have several airbrush guns, so I'm able to do that. If you have multiple guns, that's fantastic. Maybe think of an idea that you could do the same. I use a gun for white, I use a gun for black, and I will use another gun for colors. So that way I know that there will never be a little piece of black flake or any mixed paint of any kind ever put through this gun. Just a little trick that I do. So, okay. So one of my biggest things is shake your paint, guys. This paint's been sitting. I was off yesterday, so it's been sitting for 36 hours. And what it'll do is it'll start to separate just a little bit. Some other heavier stuff will go down at the bottom. The lighter stuff will go at the top. It's just natural. It's okay. Shake it up. Mix it. That's all you gotta do. If you do not get in the practice of mixing your paint, you will regret it. I promise you. There'll be a time where you haven't touched your purple in a month, maybe longer. It's completely separated. When you go to pour it in your gun, you're not getting paint. You're getting everything that's separated, and it won't spray right. The color won't be right. All kinds of issues. It could ruin a project very quick. So shake your paint. It only takes a moment to mix that up. You don't have to get crazy with it. Depending on how long it's been sitting, it may not take but a minute or two to get it all mixed up and ready to go. If you have any questions for me, I'm sure I'll miss 1,000 different things here, but you're welcome to put a question in here for me, and I will get a notification and get back with you. I use 4012 reducer. This is my most common reducer because it seems to be the most even on the playing field of reducers. I know there's a few more. This one's fast. This one's slow. This one does this. This is the one that works for me in my shop and my climate and my humidity and overall works for me. So I'm going to mix this up today right around 50-50. Okay. I'm getting ready to airbrush on metal. This Volkswagen bus right here. So I will mix it 50-50. If I mix it more than that, I would have to worry about coming out and spider webbing. And it would hit and run. That's no good. So I am going to give it a squirt to get some reducer through my gun. It gives it a little extra clean spray there. And I'm going to take my paint. See how well we can see this. I filled it about a third of the way up. Now I'm going to fill it another third with paint. Okay, so that's about 2/3 of the way up. But Eddie, you said 50-50. You're right, I did. I don't want to use the whole container. And the reason is that way I can adjust it if I need to. I can add more paint if I don't like the way it's going, or I can add more reducer if I need to. That's the cool thing about not filling it all the way up. And it actually gives it a little room to breathe, which is required. We'll go over that in a minute. I take an airbrush, or a paintbrush rather, and that's how I mix it inside the cup. This works for me. It may not work for you. Some people, if you've got extra bottles laying around, you can use those extra bottles. Mix the paint up and put the reducer and the paint in those bottles, shake it up, you're good to go. You know it's thoroughly mixed. That's okay. That'll work just fine. But in the bottle, I've been told it doesn't have a very long shelf life. So you're going to end up, getting rid of that bottle pretty soon because you've added the reducer to the paint already. The paint itself has an amazing shelf life. I've had paint out here that I've had for several years. Shake it up and run with it. But I do not let my paint freeze. If I even think that I'm going to get within 5 or 10 degrees close to freezing, all my paint goes in the house with me. I got it all in a box. I will lock that box up. I'll take it in the house so I don't have to worry about my paint freezing, because once it freezes, it seems to not ever work correctly ever again. That is my experience. Paint is not crazy expensive if you just go out and buy a bottle of paint. It's okay. But when you run a business or you're trying to do a project with a bunch of colors and this and that, the paint adds up quickly. you end up getting a dozen bottles. It costs a lot of money. Why would you let it ruin? Okay, so let me show you this vent hole real quick. This has a vent hole in the very center. That needs to be cleaned, guys. Okay, you need to be able to see through that hole. And I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there we go. It's a little better. You can see that I can see through that hole. That hole is clean. But why? Why do you need that? Okay, I will show you. So now that once I get started, I now have paint that is going to shoot through my gun. Paint will come from the top, air will come from the bottom, forcing out my paint, and it can, right? That's how that works. I know all technical and stuff, right? I got you. Sometimes, if there's ever any obstruction whatsoever inside here, then it will backflush. It will have a air bubble. That air's gone. It's going to come out. It's pressurized air. It will come out somewhere. A lot of times it will back into the cup, which is cool because as you guys saw, it's still, a pretty good gap inside that cup. There's room for some air, right? Yeah. Well, what happens, this little hole in here, okay, on the cap I just showed you, lets air escape. So if I'm getting bubbles for whatever reason, back in here, those bubbles, that air needs somewhere to go. If it has nowhere to go and you block it here and you're forcing air out, it will blow that lid off. Ask me. Ask me how I know. I was airbrushing a Godzilla mural on a wall in a boy's bedroom that had carpet. And I had one of these bad boys do that to me. I wasn't thinking. I hadn't checked the hole in a while. It was dirty. I stuck my finger over the end. Stuck my finger over the end like that. And it backfilled and popped it off. The paint went in my face, in my eyes, on my hat. It was not good. I was doing a show one time where I was airbrushing people. And I had airbrush makeup in there. And I had black makeup in the gun doing an airbrush tattoo on this lady. As soon as she sat down, right? Start on the tattoo. And I don't even know exactly what happened on this specifically, but I know the top come off. Startled me, and I was able to grab it and grab the gun like this and pull it away and get it to me. This lady was wearing white pants, and I had black ink, okay? When I pulled away and I looked down and I had black ink all over my pants. Every finger, the palms of my hands was covered in black ink. And I looked down at this poor woman, and there was not one single drop got on her. I have no idea why, how somebody was looking out for me. Not one drop. She had no idea what had happened at all. She didn't know anything was going on. She was still talking to her friend, playing on her phone, waiting to get her tattoo done. And I'm like, so I grab a couple rags, which I try to always keep rags with me at all times. No matter what I'm doing, I need a rag within arm's reach of me at all times. And that's one reason why I was able to get it cleaned up real quick, finish the tattoo, and go on with my day. But let that horror story that could have been much worse be a lesson to you guys. So, to keep a rag around and check your vent hole so that you don't make the same mistake that I made. This gun is happy. It's ready. I will let that gun sit for 15, 20 minutes at least before I use it because that seems to work out better. This is the one I use for black. It does not have a piece of tape on it. Completely clean. Nothing been on it. Got water on it. In it. I leave water sitting in mine so that just in case I never have to worry about anything drying up in it. Been sitting for, about 36 hours. Got water in it. Water is clean. Airbrush is clean. There's nothing in it. I give it a visual inspection. I don't see anything that I'm going to have to worry about. If you see anything in it, guys, like I look down in there and I might see a speck or something. One thing that I would recommend not to do: don't get a Q-tip. Be careful. Don't get a paper towel. All those things have fibers that come off very easily. So you want to get something. Want to get something good. Charlotte, thank you, Charlotte. Yeah, you're the only one here right now. But on YouTube, that's pretty normal. People will be able to watch this video anytime they want to for years to come, as long as I'm allowed to be on here and not get booted off. But I'll be going live on TikTok once I get done with this tutorial, and I'll actually be airbrushing on the bus. But guys, I would recommend a good sturdy brush. And when I say sturdy, I don't mean the stiffness. I mean the fact that when you do this, bristles don't come out. It's not shedding or anything. So I'm just going to reach in there because this is black. There can be little bitty pieces in there that I just want to check and make sure that there's not something in there that I got to worry about. Now, I don't always do this, but because of the project I'm getting ready to work on, a Volkswagen bus, a customer brought this to me. It's a big project. I don't want any surprises. So I'm just going to go through here and I'm just checking the edges. And then I'm wiping it on my finger, and I don't see anything at all. So it's good and clean. Knowing your airbrush is clean not only feels great, but it eliminates so many issues. Like you could have problems while you're airbrushing. One of the things you should be worried about is it shouldn't be like, is my gun clean? Did I clean it good enough last time? As long as you keep them clean, then you could start worrying about, okay, well, I know my gun's clean, so that's not it. Let me think of something else. So cleanliness is very, very important. I will mix this one the same as I did the other one. I will shake my paint. So guys, in case you didn't see, me personally, I use Crazything paint from Coast Airbrush. You can get these at a few hobby stores. I'm not trying to make anybody mad here, but the hobby stores tend to have things like this on their shelf for a very long time. Maybe not where you live, but at least where I live. I'm always afraid that it's been sitting on a shelf for a year or two, and then it could have sat at their warehouse for a year or two before that. I wish they would put a date on here so I would know that, but since they don't, I like to get my stuff from Coast Airbrush. They are amazing people, and I know that the paint hasn't been sitting for years and years, but if I needed a bottle of paint right now, I would go to the hobby store and get it and, kind of play my luck and hope for the best. And I say that because I've only had a couple little issues, and I really wondered if the paint had just been old. Maybe it got froze or something like that. But I have had issues where the paint just did not run very good at all, and you fight with it all day long. Speaking of fighting with your paint, I will show you one other thing. Once you get going, once you mix your paint and you get it running the way you like it, if you need to thin it out a little more, thin it out a little more. It's okay. Try different things. Don't say, well, Crazything said I had to do it this way. No, I'm just giving you a small guide so that you can be creative and do it however you want to do it, okay? So my suggestion, I was going to talk to you about, this is your first piece here on your gun. That is your guard. That is to keep your needle safe, okay? Because once you bend the needle in these guns, which I don't know if you'll be able to see on camera or not, there's a needle at the very end of that gun. See where it comes out at? There's a little shiny needle there. And when I pull the trigger back, it pulls that needle back and opens that little hole up for everything to come out, right? Well, personally, I do not run my guns with these guards on them, but as a beginner, you probably need to. But the reason I don't is so that I can get to my needle and take my fingernails and I clean my needle. That is getting rid of tip dry. You are going to have tip dry regardless of, in my experience, regardless of how you reduce your paint or what paint you use. If it's acrylic paint that dries quick, it's going to dry on your needle as you're painting. So you're going to be painting along, painting along, painting along. You haven't changed anything, but all of a sudden it's not working anymore, or it's not working as well anymore. Why is that if you didn't change anything? Because it's drying on your needle as you paint, and it's the hole that the paint's coming out of has now gotten smaller because of that buildup. How do you get rid of that buildup? And there's probably 1,000 videos that you can look for yourself to find different ways to get out. I've seen people that keep a toothbrush nearby. I've seen people that use sponges with maybe some reducer or some cleaner on it, and they'll use those sponges. And those may all work fantastic. Maybe a paintbrush, different things, but you have to keep the needle clean and unbent, undamaged, which is the difficult part. So if you're going to do like me and use your fingernails, be very, very careful. But if anybody ever watches me airbrush, after a couple minutes, you're going to see me do this. Even if I don't need it, I'm going to be sitting there doing this just to make sure it's clean. That's a habit that I picked up personally, and I will do it. This is a clean gun. You'll catch me like there's nothing on it. There's no paint on it. I'm still doing this right here out of habit. That's just me personally. But if you're just starting out, you don't want that needle exposed. Leave that cap on the end of it would be my suggestion. If you start having issues, take the cap off, clean it, put the cap back. Once you're more used to having an airbrush gun in your hand, you get a little bit of experience under your belt, then maybe you can run without it for a while. But there's a lot of horror stories out there that whatever you're painting, you bump up against it, now your needle's shot and your day's done. You won't be airbrushing with that gun now because it's got a bent needle. I know you're going to try to fix it and repair it and sand it and file it and do these different things on it, but it's never going to be 100% true like it was in the factory. So, as a suggestion, leave the cap on at least while you're getting started, okay? Because it doesn't take but that one little, and then you're done. So, those are some of my ideas that I hope helped you. Again, I like to label everything. My water bottles will tell me there you are, water. My airbrush guns, see this one has the letter C on the tape. That is for color. This one has nothing on it. This is my black. The other one actually has a W on the tape for white. That's just a personal thing that I enjoy doing, so that while I'm working, I know that I got a quick reference to grab it and go. I hope this video helps somebody today. Maybe I was able to help you out and give you some tips. Again, Createx paint with reducer. If you do not use reducer, you're probably going to end up not being able to get the details you want. You can take a lot of this stuff straight out of the bottle and pour it into your airbrush gun. It will spray out, okay? Just not when you get down to the fine lines it wants to spit and sputter. That's what the reducer's for, is to help it run smoother. Thins it out, lets it run nice and smooth. If you start at that 50-50 level and you adjust your skills and your methods down to that 50-50, then you'll get somewhere you'll be able to really start airbrushing and excel and then adjust from there. I do have a few people that have tried to learn to airbrush that goes to a hobby store and just buys acrylic paint, puts it in their airbrush gun. Not a good idea. That doesn't mean it won't work. That doesn't mean it won't spray, but it's not made for an airbrush gun. The pigments that create these colors need to be milled down extra fine. They need to be taken down extra fine so that it'll flow through there easily, okay? Guys, I am Crazything, the airbrush guy again. I hope I was able to help somebody today. If this video helps one person, then it was worth my time to be able to create it and make it for you. If it did help you, pass it along to somebody else and check out my other videos because there's a lot of cool stuff to see. I hope you have an amazing day, and thank you for watching.